Money is a tool of exchange. It represents wealth only so long as it can be exchanged for material goods and services. Wealth does not grow in nature. It has to be produced by man. Nature gives us only the raw materials, but it is man's mind that has to discover the knowledge of how to use them. It is man's thinking and labors that transform the materials into food, clothing, shelter, or television sets, into all the goods that men require for their survival, comfort, and pleasure. Behind every step of humanity's long climb from the cave to New York City, there is the man who took that step for the first time, the man who discovered how to make a fire or a wheel or an airplane or an electric light. When people refuse to consider the source of wealth, what they refuse to recognize is the fact that wealth is the product of man's intellect, of his creative ability, fully as much as is art, science, philosophy, or any other human value. The money maker is the discoverer who translates his discovery into material goods. In an industrial society with a complex division of labor, it may be one man or a partnership of two, the scientist who discovers new knowledge and the entrepreneur, the businessman, who discovers how to use that knowledge, how to organize material resources and human labor into an enterprise producing marketable goods. The money appropriator is an entirely different type of man. He is essentially non-creative, and his basic goal is to acquire an unearned share of the wealth created by others. He seeks to get rich not by conquering nature, but by manipulating men. Not by intellectual effort, but by social maneuvering. He does not produce, he redistributes. He merely switches the wealth already in existence from the pockets of its owners to his own. The money appropriator may become a politician or a businessman who cuts corners, or the destructive product of a mixed economy, the businessman who grows rich by means of government favors, such as special privileges, subsidies, franchises. That is, grows rich by means of legalized force. In the present state of our economy, in the chaotic mixture of free enterprise and government controls, it is becoming progressively harder to distinguish the money maker from the money appropriator. When every business is tangled in government regulations, the dividing line between the earned and the unearned grows blurred. Authentic money makers are forced to resort to government help, and some money appropriators are forced at times to exercise some productive effort, if only for the sake of their public image. But if one watches a man's activity over a period of time, one can still see whether his success is due essentially to his productive ability or to political pull. The essential characteristic of the money maker is his independent judgment. The essential characteristic of the money appropriator is his social dependence. A man of independent judgment is a man of profound self-esteem. He trusts the competence of his own mind to deal with the problems of existence. He looks at the world wondering what can be done, or how can things be improved. The money maker, above all else, is the originator and innovator. The trait most signally absent from his character is resignation, the passive acceptance of the given, the known, the established, the status quo. He never says what was good enough for my grandfather is good enough for me. He says what was good enough for me yesterday will not be good enough tomorrow. He does not sit waiting for a break or for someone to give him a chance. He makes and takes his own chances. He does not whine, I couldn't help it. He can and does. The men who will never make money are the hedger, who plays it safe, waiting to follow any trend, and the gambler or plunger who plays blind hunches on the spur of the moment, on hearsay, on his own unaccountable feelings. The moneymaker does neither. He does not wait for trends, he sets them. He does not gamble, he takes calculated risks, assuming the very responsibility which those two attempt to bypass, the responsibility of judgment. The man who will never make money has an employee mentality, even in an executive's job. He tries to get away with a minimum of effort, as if any exertion were an imposition. And when he fails to take the proper action, he cries, "But nobody told me to." The moneymaker has an employer mentality, even when he is only an office boy, which is why he does not remain an office boy for long. In any job he holds, he is committed to a maximum of effort. He learns everything he can about the business, much more than his job requires. He never needs to be told, even when confronting a situation outside his usual duties. These are the reasons why he rises from office boy to company president. Behind his usually grim, expressionless face, the moneymaker is committed to his work with the passion of a lover, the fire of a crusader, the dedication of a saint, and the endurance of a martyr. As a rule, his creased forehead and his balance sheets are the only evidence of it he can allow the world to see. Neither space, time, nor age can limit the moneymaker's extravagant energy and drive. The men who dream of winning a fortune on a sweepstakes ticket would never understand his psychology. It is only the money appropriator who lives and acts short range, never looking beyond the immediate moment. The moneymaker lives, thinks, and acts long range. Having complete confidence in his own judgment, he has complete confidence in the future, and only long-range projects can hold his interest. To a moneymaker, as well as to an artist, work is not a painful duty or a necessary evil, but a way of life. To him, productive activity is the essence, the meaning, and the enjoyment of existence. It is the state of being alive. Many modern commentators of the collectivist persuasion claim that the day of the great individualist, of the independent mind, is past, and that future progress will be achieved somehow by everybody in general and nobody in particular. But if we look at the moneymakers of the present, who fought their way to success against the barrier of ever-increasing political obstacles and confiscatory taxation, we see the same essential characteristic: the independent judgment that discovers the new and pursues the untried. Quote, "If a man of the Renaissance were alive today," writes Fortune, "he might find running an American corporation the most rewarding outlet for his prodigious and manifold talents. In it, he could be scientist, artist, inventor, builder, and statesman. It would be a company created in a man's image, molded by him in every significant detail, building a product, the embodiment of his genius, that would be unique in all the world. He would gather around him extraordinary associates, selected with meticulous care, who would share his passions and his enthusiasms, who would create and build with him. Such a man, as it happens, does exist. The world's work has to be done, and people have to take responsibility for their own work and their own lives. Too much emphasis on human relations encourages people to feel sorry for themselves, makes it easier for them to slough off responsibility, to find excuses for failure, to act like children." Close quote. The moneymaker does not care for money as such. Money to him is a means to an end, the means for expanding the range of his activity. Most moneymakers are indifferent to luxury, and their manner of living is startlingly modest in relation to their wealth. Not all the moneymakers achieve enormous wealth. Their success depends in large measure on the degree of freedom still remaining in their particular field. Some realize only a small fraction of their creative potential. Some are never heard of. In today's conditions, it is impossible to guess their actual number. It is the small, lonely minority that carries our world on its shoulders. Loneliness is the underground to which we have condemned the moneymaker, a bewildered loneliness that is not erased by his occasional moments of boisterous gaiety. It is the loneliness of sensing that he is the victim of some incomprehensible injustice. His coldly uncommunicative manner hides his enormous frustrated benevolence, his childlike innocence, and his profoundly earned pride. A lonely, unappreciated fighter. The moneymaker, the fighter for man's survival in the jungle of inanimate matter, the man who alone remembers that the world's work has to be done.